morning. Is it still morning? Well, it's 11:51. By the time this goes up, it'll no longer be morning. But good day, I guess we'll just say. And welcome to Beware Spoilers. I am Adam. Today, we are talking about Werewolf by Night, the first of the Marvel special presentations. Second will be coming later this year in the form of the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, and that will be rounding out Phase 4. I think that Gunn described it as kind of like the epilogue to Phase 4 will be Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas Special, or Holiday Special, the non-denominational, but definitely Christmas Special. So, Werewolf by Night. I don't want to say I was not expecting much, because I feel like that feels dismissive. Like, if I said that I wasn't expecting much out of this, out of this adventure, I was like, alright, whatever, you're gonna do this. And for a while, it was kind of like, spoken about in the trades, like, we got a lot from Variety that it was happening, and we got a lot of casting, and we got a lot of, like, things like that, but we never really got concrete confirmation that it was happening until we saw the trailer, I think, at D23. Directed by Michael Giacchino here, in his first directing gig, and good for him, moving from composing to directing, he composed, he's a composer, but it's fantastic work all around by him. So, we have, it's a very self-contained story, and I think it does that very well. The idea of keeping, and I like the idea that between this and She-Hulk, we've had such a huge expansion of the Marvel Cinematic Universe beyond just what we've seen over the years, where it's like, it's kind of very, Avengers or Avengers adjacent, with the exception of the Guardians, which are space, but like everything is kind of tied around the Avengers. And what we're seeing now more and more is that there are other people with powers in the world, and other weird aspects happening. I mean, Moon Knight had that too, and I think one of the things that really helps this out is that you can go into this completely blind and be kind of, you'll be completely able to understand everything that's going on. I feel like the look and feel of it is great. I love the black and white. The black and white really does help it. I have a feeling we're going to be seeing Elsa Bloodstone again at some point. I can't say for certain or anything like that, but it's just a hunch I have. The dynamic between Jack Russell and Man-Thing is great. I love that whole thing, and it's short. It's only like an hour and It's only like an hour and Only like an hour 55 minutes, I think, is what it is. There's no post-credit scene either, which I think also helps. It is entirely a self-contained adventure. So basically what happens is the Bloodstone patriarch dies. Elsa Bloodstone's father, I think is what it is. He dies, so Elsa Bloodstone's mother has what's the best way to describe this? Like, I don't want to say, like, it's basically a contest where it's like, okay, motherfucker. So basically a contest to see who's going to succeed and take over control of the Bloodstone and be kind of the head monster hunter, because apparently the monster hunters are a thing in the MCU, and they're out there hunting monsters and keeping monsters from taking over the world and keeping people from being killed. And it has a very, like, 1950s horror movie aesthetic to the whole thing, and I think that really works in its favor, too. I feel like what happened here was WandaVision came out and did great with audiences, so they're like, hey, let's do that again, but with a 1950s horror movie with other Marvel characters, and I think it works here. And unlike the first few episodes of WandaVision, which are 100% capitalizing on the fact that they know you're not going anywhere because Wanda and Vision are in the show, and we had just seen Endgame, and also WandaVision was one of the first things we got after the pandemic, or toward the middle of the pandemic, really. It was early 2011 when we got WandaVision for the first time. And the idea that we were kind of just like, oh, good. I remember watching the first episode and seeing the Marvel Studios logo for something new, and I'm like, this kind of feels like the world is somewhat starting to get back to normal. And I feel like that was a good amount of why WandaVision worked. Here, they're not capitalizing on the existence of other things we already know. So don't expect Doctor Strange to show up. Don't expect Moon Knight. Don't expect Blade. These are all things that I thought were going to happen. And then when they didn't, I was like, all right, right on. I really think that it worked in their favor, that they're not being like, oh, and look, here are other things. And seeing this side of the MCU is a fun thing to explore. This dark and more occult side. I really enjoy it. There's a lot of blood and gore in this, and I think it really works in the favor of it. I'm not entirely sure how the show didn't get a TVMA, because, like, at one point, like, she cuts off a guy's hand and then shoots him with, like, he had a wrist-mounted, like, crossbow, and she uses that off of his severed hand to shoot him up through his lower, like, jaw, and like, the arrow is coming out of his mouth. Like, it is, like, whoa. I was not expecting that level of, like, blood and gore in this, and it is a interesting thing to see, and it really worked in the show's favor, I think. I think the way it got around the TVMA was it does look fake, but not in a fake where it's like it's CGI and the CGI looks like shit. It looks fake in a way where it's like it's homaging, like, the Universal Monster style movie, like the monster horror movies of the past is what's being homaged in this, and it does that very, very well. What else was there that was, entertaining? Like, the whole thing is very well done. The only thing that I would say is it would have been nice if it was a little less CGI. I understand that doing a realistic looking kind of man thing would have been expensive, and I completely understand that. That said, I feel like if they did Man Thing with practical effects, it wouldn't have, like, everything else is so practical in the show. Or in the, I guess we'll call it a special. Everything else is done so practically that when we see Man Thing and he's entirely CGI, he sticks out like a sore thumb. And there are aspects of Man Thing that I think are practical. I mean, I'm really not good at picking that out, but there are times where it looked like it could have been practical, but it just wasn't. But that said, like, there's nothing inherently awful about the special that make it unwatchable or bad. In fact, it's probably my favorite thing they've done in Phase 4 so far. I did really enjoy it, and I think that it really opens up the world in a major way that makes it possibly more interesting. And I'm excited to see where they go from here. And it's like, even like the opening credits being the way that they are. I just wish they had committed a little bit more fully to the aesthetic that they're obviously going for. I just feel like they didn't commit hard enough to that. Yeah, I mean, other than that, it's a mildly entertaining way to use an hour. I think it's the strongest offering that Disney's going to have on Disney Plus for Halloween. And that's the thing, too, is that there was an avenue where this is like, and on Halloween night, we have to go out and do this ritual and track down the Man Thing, or track down Ted, I guess, or track down this guy. And it's like that there was an avenue where they do that. They did not do that, and I'm very happy they didn't, because it gives it a kind of evergreen quality when you do that. But I think we'll wrap up there for today. Go check out Werewolf by Night on Disney Plus. Tell Marvel by watching it that you want them to do more of this, because this is very fun, and I hope they do more things like this. And hopefully it inspires more people to go out and make more movies like this. Because I would watch in theaters a 1950s horror movie homage, like, day it comes out. I would love that. But we'll wrap up there for today. So we'll be back with new stuff next week as it happens. So until then, have a great rest of your week.